parts of the machinery that are involved in the production of the product. So the inventory that needs to be maintained for the spare parts, because suppose one of the spare parts of a particular machine gets spoiled, if we do not have the inventory in hand in order to repair it, probably we would be losing time. There would be a breakdown in the production process, which would ultimately suffer in meeting with the demand of the customer. So these are the basic 5 categories of inventory. Now we also need to know why we need to carry inventory, because we said carrying inventory incurs costs. Now when we talk about carrying inventory, first and foremost we carry inventory in order to improve customer service. Customers have got their demand. We need to meet their demand. If we need to make our sales, if we need to earn profit, we need to meet the customer demands. So having inventory on hand, carrying the inventory with us will help us in meeting with the customer demands, and as a result of which we can improve the customer service. Secondly, to reduce costs. Costs are incurred in storing items, costs are incurred in transporting the items, costs are incurred in the direct and indirect operational costs and the shortage costs. So when we talk about holding the inventory, carrying the inventory, we are trying to avoid the shortage costs. We are trying to avoid operational costs involved in the frequent placement of orders and transportations. So it reduces costs. Thirdly, in maintenance of operational capability. We just talked about a manufacturing process that is they are interdependent upon each other. So in order that the entire production cycle goes properly or is executed properly without any snags, without any stoppage, we need to maintain the inventory. So that is why again we need to carry the inventory. Thirdly, in order to meet the irregular supply and demand, there may be, as I said earlier, there could be a traffic jam. Probably the order may not reach us in time. So if we have sufficient amount of inventory at our place, then we may be able to meet with the demand at our place or the supply at our place. And also if there are irregular demand, all of a sudden there is a birthday party and you require large number of disposable cups and disposable dishes, but normally you say they don't go much in number and so we do not store them. But when there is a party, maybe there is a freshers party or maybe there's a farewell party at your college, even at that time you require this. So there's an irregular demand. Now when you go to the shopkeeper, he says it's not available, he is losing on his business. And that is why in such instances we need to carry inventory in order to meet with such irregular supply and demand. Thirdly, to avail of quantity discounts. So whenever there are quantity discounts available, there is a reduction in the price of the items. So in order to avail them also, we need to carry. So there may be instances where we may have to carry more amount of inventory in order to avail the benefit of the quantity discounts. And finally, to avoid stockouts. There might be instances where there could be maybe a power failure. Maybe there could be a natural calamities like an earthquake or something, and as floods, as a result of which we may not have a supply of the inventory. So we need to carry sufficient amount of inventory so that we can meet with these kind of shortages and avoid stock out in case of the production processes. Let us have a look at the different inventory cost components. So we just talked about having inventory with us, but then just having inventory does not help us. These inventory involve costs. So what are the different cost components? There are basically 4 cost components. The first is the purchase cost. Now the purchase cost is the actual price paid for the procurement of buying the items. That is, and its unit of measurement is rupees per unit. So when we talk about the purchase cost, it is the price per unit multiplied by the demand per unit time. So whatever cycle we are talking about, so the demand in that cycle multiplied by the price per unit is termed as purchase cost. Second, we have carrying or holding cost. So carrying cost is also called holding cost because you're holding onto the stock at our warehouse. Now this particular cost of carrying involves various costs like the storage cost for providing warehouse space. If it is a rented warehouse, the rental that we'll be paying. If it is an owned warehouse, the amount that goes into maintaining the warehouse is what we mean by the storage cost for providing warehouse space. Secondly, inventory handling costs for payment of salaries to the employees. So there are people in the warehouse who actually takes care of the inventory, take care that they're placed in proper condition, they're moved in the proper space, in the proper place, etc. So their salaries. Insurance cost against the possible loss for damage. You'll be insuring your inventory, of course, because there could be damage by physical calamities, there could be damage by floods, etc. So insurance costs, the opportunity cost of money invested in the inventory. Whatever money you have invested before you can earn on the business is also an opportunity cost, because this amount could have been invested somewhere else and you could have earned the benefit out of it. But since you have put that amount into the inventory, the carrying cost is the opportunity cost is also a component of the carrying cost. Then cost of obsolescence or deterioration. Maybe all of a sudden there is a demand for a particular item. You hoard up a lot of item, you start carrying a lot of inventory, and then there is no demand whatsoever. So what happens is there is an obsolescence cost, because you already have inventory, you cannot sell it, but there is your amount that has been blocked into that particular inventory. So that is what we mean by obsolescence costs. And finally, depreciation. Whenever you are holding the inventory is undergoing depreciation. So the depreciation cost. So the carrying cost or the holding cost is a composition of storage cost of the warehouse, the inventory handling cost for towards salaries, the insurance cost of the items, the opportunity cost, the obsolescence cost, as well as the depreciation cost. It is given by the following equation. The cost of carrying 1 unit of an item multiplied by the average number of units of the item that is carried in your warehouse. This equation gives you the carrying or the holding cost of your inventory. The third cost is the ordering cost, or what we say setup cost. If I am making a replenishment, if I am placing an order with my supplier, it results in ordering cost. But if I am setting up my industry, if I'm setting up my business, the initial cost that is involved is called the setup cost. So in either case, it is the same cost. Now, this cost is incurred every time you place an order with your supplier. It includes requisition cost of handling invoices, the stationery, the payments, etc., the cost of services such as mailing, telephone calls, transportations, etc., cost of handling items such as cost incurred in receiving the inventory, sorting it, inspecting it, and storing it into the warehouses, and accounting and auditing costs, of course. So every time an order is placed, an ordering cost is incurred, and this ordering cost is not dependent on the size of the order. So if the size of the order is small or the size of the order is large, it does not matter. The ordering cost is not dependent on the size of the order. It can be given by the following equation. Ordering cost is equal to cost per order multiplied by the number of orders. And the fourth cost, that is of the cost components, is the shortage or stock out cost. Whenever a shortage of an item incurs, there is a cost. Why? Because we lose business, and that is termed as a shortage cost or a stock out cost. Now, when the customer supplies or back orders an order, that is, the customer is waiting for the order to be sent across to him. He has back ordered, that is, he has ordered in advance. In such cases, we do not lose the business, and hence what we understand is we have not lost on business, but still there is a shortage cost, because we could have met this business in the due course of the waiting period of the customer. And secondly, when the customer orders and we find that we do not have the requisite amount or we do not have the requisite quantity with us, and we have to say, sorry, I cannot meet your demand, we lose on the business. This is a loss. So this is a direct cost that is involved. Either of this is a shortage, and hence is termed as a shortage cost, which is given by cost of being short by 1 unit of an item multiplied by the average number of units that is short. So that is the cost of 1 unit of an item multiplied by the average number of units that you are short of will give rise to the shortage cost. So the 4 basic costs are purchase costs, carrying costs, ordering costs, and shortage costs. There is another terminology called total inventory cost. This is the cost of the inventory that considers all the above 4 costs that we had talked about. In case I avail price discount, then the total inventory cost TC is given by the purchase cost plus the ordering cost plus carrying cost plus shortage cost. All these costs together would give me the total inventory cost. And in case we do not avail of price discounts, then the total variable inventory cost is given by the ordering cost plus carrying cost plus shortage cost. That is a summation of the ordering cost, the carrying cost, and the shortage cost, not the purchase cost, because we are not having price discount. So there is no variation in the price. So these are the different costs that are involved with the inventory. Let us look into certain terminologies that are used when we talk about inventory systems. The first and foremost, which I've been using throughout this particular session, demand. What is demand? The size of demand refers to the number of units of the item required in each period or cycle or season. Now, ideally, the period that we would consider here is annual. That is the annual demand of a particular item. So the number of units of the item that is required during a particular period, say annually, is called the demand. Now this size is not measured in the terms of the number of units sold. It is not the selling thing that you're doing. It's not the number of units that are sold. That is not the demand. The demand is a requirement. You may have sold beneath the requirement, or you may have had a demand, or you may have had a request for above your demand. But this demand is not the number of units sold, but is the requirement. That is what we need to understand. The size of the demand may be deterministic or may be probabilistic. When the size of the demand over a period of time is known with certainty, say for example, I know that I would require not less than 5,000 calendars every year. I know that every year an average of 5,000 calendars are sold in the month of December. I know this with certainty. Then the demand is deterministic. But when the size of the demand is not known with certainty, the demand becomes probabilistic. There is a probability that the children will demand for a particular goodie when they watch it on television. But then you may not know how much of the size is involved. Then such case, it is a probabilistic demand. So when we talk about demand, it could be either deterministic or probabilistic, and the pattern of demand is the manner in which the inventory is required by the customers. It may be instantaneous, that is immediately, or it may be uniform, that is at repeated period of time. The second terminology is the order cycle. The order cycle is a time period between two successive replenishments. If I place an order on the 5th of October and I am told that I would be receiving the delivery of my order on 30th of October, that is today, then the order cycle is 25 days. So the time difference between two successive replenishment, that is I receive it on the 5th and I receive it on 30th, is what we mean by the order cycle. Thirdly is a lead time, that is a delivery lag. The time delay between placing an order and receipt of delivery is called the lead time or the delivery lag. It may be again deterministic or probabilistic, because the lead time may vary due to unforeseen circumstances. When it varies, we say it's probabilistic, but when we know that there are not going to be any problem with respect to the delivery and it is going to be timely, then it becomes deterministic. So the lead time is the time lag between placing an order and receiving of the goods at the customer's end, is what we mean by lead time. Next is stock replenishment. The actual replenishment of stock may occur instantaneously or gradually. That is, all the stock that you ask for may come in one lot. You may receive in one lot, and that is called instantaneous replenishment. Or it may be broken up into multiple transportations. That is, maybe the first transportation you may receive 50% of the stock and you may receive another 20% in the next and the remaining 30% in the third. So that kind of a stock replenishment is called gradual. Instantaneous replenishment is possible when the stock is purchased from outside sources. So when I purchase it from outside supplier, the supplier, I say I require X quantity and you have to send me X quantity. All the X quantity come in one delivery, it becomes instantaneous. But when the replenishment is in a production cycle, that is from within the organization, that is the replenishment of finished goods. As and when the production is done, we would be having the replenishment, and that is why we say that it is at a particular rate, and so it is called gradual stock replenishment. Another terminology is length of planning period. It is the period over which a particular inventory level is maintained. That is, you plan for a particular length of period where you would have to maintain your inventories, that you would have to maintain your stock. This period may be finite or infinite depending upon the nature of the demand. If the demand is deterministic, it would be finite, but if the demand is probabilistic, then the length of the planning period would be infinite. And finally, we come down to the terminology called economic order quantity. From now on, we would be calling it EOQ, which is an order quantity that minimizes the total average inventory cost. This is that lot size. This is economic order quantity, is that inventory level which we would order in order to minimize the total inventory cost or the average inventory cost that would be incurred. It may be the purchase cost, the carrying cost, the shortage cost, or the ordering cost. So the average cost, in order to minimize it, we would have to come across with economic order quantity, that is an optimum order quantity that would allow us to economize on the inventory costs. Let us now move ahead with the notations that we would be using in inventory systems or inventory models. We have talked about most of the terminologies. Now, what are the notations that we would be using? We would use C, which indicates purchase cost of an item. We talked about unit cost of an item. Now, this unit cost of an item would be indicated or would be denoted using capital C. Then CO, that is O is a subscript, that is the ordering cost. So wherever we talk about cost, we would always use capital C. But then when the cost is related to placing orders of inventory, we call it ordering cost. So CO is the ordering cost per order. Then we talk about carrying cost or holding cost. So CH, where again H is a subscript. CH is the carrying cost or the holding cost, the cost involved or the cost incurred in order to store